After being traded to the Utah Jazz before the Jazz decided to buy him out, Russell Westbrook has now signed with the 2023 NBA champion Denver Nuggets. This move has had a lot of people clowning the Nuggets and making them wonder what's going on in Denver, but dare I say, this might be exactly the move that the Nuggets needed to make. The reason I say that? Well, despite the Nuggets having an open spot in their starting lineup after the team chose to not pay Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in free agency, I'd say it's pretty close to a guarantee that Westbrook will come off the bench in Denver. Westbrook will turn 36 in November, which is why he's fallen into that bench role now at this point of his career, but coming off the bench is certainly the move and the best decision that the Nuggets head coach Mike Malone can make, because the Nuggets seriously needed a veteran leader on their bench this past season, plus he's a definite upgrade over Reggie Jackson. During the 2023-24 regular season, the Denver Nuggets bench had the lowest net rating of any team that made the 2024 NBA playoffs. Peyton Watson and Christian Brown are two of the best young rotation players in the NBA currently, and both came off the bench for this Nuggets team, but when both shared the court together, they had a net rating of negative 4.1. The Nuggets didn't play their bench players much, as in the regular season, their bench played the 8th lowest minutes of all 30 teams in the league, but their lack of depth and bench inefficiency definitely played a factor in why that is. In 57 games off the bench for the Clippers this season, Russ averaged 10.5 points per game, along with 4.5 rebounds and 4.1 assists on 45.3% field goal percentage and a three-point percentage you probably don't want to look at if you're a Nuggets fan. But he still finished with a plus 50 plus-minus rating in those games, which is much better than the efficiency ratings of both Watson and Brown, who played the 7th and 8th most minutes for the Denver Nuggets this past season. Westbrook really did have a rough playoff run, only averaging 6.3 points per game on 26% shooting from the field and 23.5% shooting from deep. But between his fractured hand that caused him to miss 3 weeks of action in March and PG being in and out of the lineup with a groin injury, as well as the knee injury that forced Kawhi to miss 4 of the 6 playoff games that the Clippers played in, hopefully the Clippers' curse might have had more to do with that than just Russ showing his age. Regardless though, I also think the signing of Dario Saric is one that hasn't gotten talked about enough. Saric has yet to really find his home in the NBA, as he hasn't spent more than 2 full seasons with one team since arriving in the league back in 2016. But his versatility and shooting off the bench is going to, without a doubt, help a Nuggets bench that shot the 5th worst field goal percentage and the 6th worst three-point percentage in the league last season. With their bench also shooting the 2nd worst field goal percentage of any bench in the playoffs this last season, Saric is 8 points per game on 46% shooting from the field and 37% shooting from 3 in just 17.2 minutes per game last season will translate nicely to head coach Mike Malone's group. Now, Saric played majority of his minutes at center for Golden State last season, which makes sense with Steve Kerr being one of the coaches who normalized stretch centers being a thing years ago, but will that fly under Mike Malone is really the question now. Now, Saric is 6'10", so of course taller than a guy like Draymond, and of course just a tall guy in general. Let's be clear about that. This is not a small man we're talking about. But the team has also brought back Jay Huff this offseason after he had a very nice summer league stint with the Orlando Magic this summer, and Huff's game has relied a solid amount on the three-point shot, at least in the summer league, as Huff is listed at 7'1", and he shot 2.8 threes per game in the 2024 summer league on 35.7% shooting from 3, while also averaging 5 rebounds a game in 26.1 minutes a game. I could very well see Huff sliding into that third-string center role and not seeing much time, but I do think Saric will be that key reserve power forward for the Nuggets. Now, could these moves simply be the Nuggets going for a change of direction in terms of what they want out of their big men off the bench? I'm not sure, but Huff is still only 25 and going into his 4th season, and Saric is 30 years old, so maybe they just want some big guys with some shooting ability who can stay around for the long haul. The team also traded up in the draft this year to pick Deron Holmes, and Holmes is a 6'10" big man who shot 38.6% from 3 at Dayton last season, and while he only played in 1 summer league game this year, he dropped 11 points on 50% shooting from the field, 100% shooting from 3, and his 3 three-pointers made along with 7 rebounds as well. Now, sadly, Holmes injured his Achilles and is probably going to miss the whole 2024-25 season, but the Nuggets could very well use the A10 Co-Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year come the 2025-26 season, as he is extremely talented. Regardless though, undrafted rookie guard Trey Alexander signed with Denver this summer and played great in the summer league, averaging 17.2 points per game on 52.7% shooting from the field and 47.8% shooting from three-point range. Alexander also comes in with a 6'10" wingspan at the height of 6'4", which is a pretty big deal if you ask me. You also factor that in with the fact that the Nuggets' 2023 first-round pick, Julian Strawther, led the 2024 Summer League in points per game and came in third for the most three-pointers made per game. I'd say the Nuggets got a pretty solid, nice group of young players coming off their bench, along with finally some much-needed veteran leadership. For a Denver Nuggets team that had the highest plus-minus rating of any starting lineup in the entire NBA last season, getting this help off the bench is going to be a bigger deal than people realize, and I think the only thing that can hurt them now is any potential injuries that come up, and maybe needing one more center with the injury to Deron Holmes that we talked about before. Of course, you have to remember in the 2024 playoffs that Porter Jr. really sank the Nuggets with his poor shooting, and more specifically his 32% shooting from three, but also losing Caldwell Pope will hurt this team, no doubt. The team did actually play more efficient, though, with Justin Holiday in the lineup over Caldwell Pope, in, of course, a smaller sample size. It's just good to remember that. And Holiday is still a free agent, so the team should definitely re-sign him, with that being said. And if they could just make some other small little tweaks around the edges of this roster, I'd say they should be back up and running as the favorites in the Western Conference for the 2024-25 season. With a man that's the 2023 NBA Finals MVP and a three-time regular season MVP leading this Nuggets team, looking like he's still got a lot more left in his prime, this is a group of guys who should have no excuse as to why they shouldn't win at least one more NBA championship over the next few seasons. I want to know, though, in the comments what you think about this Nuggets roster, their 2024 offseason, or anything relating to the topics or players we talked about today down below. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to give it a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I am out. Peace.